Welcome to The Joe Show, a podcast with insight and opinion on the information you need to know with your host, Joe Blind.
Hello folks, I'm back. This is the Joe Blind Show, and I'm happy to be back with you guys on the air again. I apologize for not coming around for some time, but since after the election of the Métis Nation, I took some time off to kind of reassess the whole election, and that's what the show is going to be all about today, folks. The Métis Nation of Alberta, the aftermath of the election, and I just want to share that with you. But I do also want, before I get going here, I want to thank all the people that have been giving me calls and responding to my podcast. I really appreciate that. That proves to me that what we have been talking about, that there needs to be some kind of a communication where that people are informed about what's happening out there, and coming from me, of course, but I'm relating this to what I can see, and I'm very involved in it. And I do want to thank those people for phoning me and thanking me for what I'm doing. And of course, it's a Joe Blind show, and I want to share some things with you, what I saw and what I heard during the election and after the election. Of course, we all know the results, and this is to me. I can't hide my feelings. I was disappointed. I really did want a younger generation, a new group of people to come along and get this Métis Nation on the road. And I want to, if you're listening, you didn't lose, young man. You showed you have the potential to be a great leader one day, and I hope you don't give up just because you lost a small little election here. And we did our best, and unfortunately, so many Métis people are not awake. They still want the same old. So what can we do? And maybe they had more voters. Yes, they did. And maybe they had more money, and I'm sure Audrey does. So whatever it is, folks, we lost the election, and Ron, who I was supporting, I want to encourage you. Don't give up. It's a long road. You're a young man. I think at the beginning, when the campaign started, I was very confident that perhaps we would have a new leadership. 22 years, folks. Those of you that are listening to me out there, Métis people, card-carrying Métis, I'm a little frustrated with how many people went out there to vote for and didn't see the new beginning, like the younger generation. As you know, like if you look back 22 years, I've been around all those years, and I really saw very little development with the Métis Nation. Today, we still got the same amount of people, Métis people in jail, the same amount of welfare programs and all kinds of. We're number one at the bottom of the totem pole here as far as social services are concerned and programs. Our kids are still being taken away. There's still no work. Housing is a real serious problem all over northern Alberta, throughout the province, really, as far as Métis people are concerned. And he stood out there to tell us that they were doing such a great idea. I think some of you Métis people were fooled, and I feel sorry for you that you could listen to all that crap that she was giving us, but didn't know who she really was. I suppose that's where you can say it was an excuse. You didn't know. But putting her back in, after 22 years, folks, what the hell can this lady do the next 4 years that she couldn't do in 22 years? It just amazes me how she got away with this. You know, there was so many young people that were disappointed today, and I share that feeling with them because wherever we went, the young people saying, we want a new leadership because we want to be involved. But you can't get involved with this old lady, they said. She seems to be turning everybody away, and it's not just the young people she's turning away. She's turning the whole Métis Nation away, and I really feel bad about that. But as time goes on, I think we will find out. What's she going to do now? She has to produce now. She can't bullshit us anymore. She's been BSing us for 22 years. She can't do that anymore. She made her report. She made her commitment. Now she's got to produce. And I got a funny feeling not too many of us want to go near her leadership right about now. At least not me anyway. I'll continue to survive as a half-breed and a Métis in my own space over here. And I doubt if she'll ever try to help me, or if I went there to get some help, she'll probably throw me out of the office. So I think that's what I'm saying to you folks. I can't see her doing anything that she couldn't have done in the last 22 years. And furthermore, when you think about it, all those things that she was saying, how could she stand up there and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and for next 4 years we're going to be expecting that? I doubt it. I really doubt it. And the Métis Nation should have, the membership wasn't really all there because I think a lot of people were missed out, and how the election went about, I really wasn't satisfied with that. But I think in a lot of ways that Métis people weren't really thinking about what was going on, and probably didn't really care. I know a lot of people said, I don't care, I'm not even going to go and vote, they said, because the same crap was happening. I think also you have to remember, let's think about the organization size. 5 corporations that she runs, and I believe she's the boss of every one of them, for I know. You guys, if you don't believe me, contact her and find out who's in charge of all those corporations. And they make money, and they provide services. I don't know what kind of service they provide. I know they got 2 Capital Housing and Métis Urban Housing. And there's no housing here in Lac La Biche in and around. We got some Métis urban housing there, but I don't know. There just seems to be a problem all over with that housing program. So in saying that, there are a lot of issues that we're faced with today, like for instance the Section 9124. She hasn't made a move on that. She made no move at all to try to inform the Métis people where we stand with that Section 91 and 24. So that we can at least understand what to expect in the future. So there's a lot of issues that I think about that she has not been able to deal with because she just didn't do it. I guess the only bright side to this whole election is that we threw out a lot of the old staff, the old cronies she had in there. Zone 6 got thrown out. That was a good one. Zone 5 got thrown out. I think she just ran her because she knew that probably couldn't get in. She's out. And Zone 2 in Bonneville area, she got beaten by her vice president. And of course down south in Calgary, Zone 3, that's we have another leader there as well. And we got another leader. The one I didn't really have too much faith in. However, he must be pretty popular with the local folks. Zone 1 has one already, but right now, as I'm sitting here, I think he's having a little problem getting the organization going. So, as you're listening, yes, if anything happened, we've changed the whole board, but the old steering wheel is still sitting there. So I'm still not too sure what's happened. And, knowing Audrey, she's going to bamboozle those poor newcomers. A lot of them are young, inexperienced, and he'll have them under his thumb by the second board meeting or whatever, because, Audrey's been there for 22 years. If she learned anything in 22 years, she learned how to lie and bullshit to all of us. So that she can do very well. So, folks, I think it's going to be an exciting 4 years. And but like I said before, she's made a lot of commitments in her campaign and said a lot of things. Now she's got to prove that she can carry them out. That's what I'm looking forward to. And how is she going to carry them out? There's a lot of issues happening right now. For instance, those of us that live in the Métis settlements, how is she going to work with the Métis settlements when she wasn't even working with them prior to the election? She doesn't even bother to deal with us. Matter of fact, she was just hoping that we wouldn't make no noise from these settlements. But I am. I live in a Métis settlement. And I think I know she has to do something. And I doubt if she'll be able to do that because she hasn't been able to do that in 22 years. What's she going to do in the next 4 years? So, folks, in saying that, I think we got to stop and think, what did this election do for us? What can we look forward to? We got the same driver of the big bus and perhaps maybe a whole new board There's a few stragglers that are still in there, but I don't have too much confidence in them, because by the time they can train those other board members, I know quite a few of them, and they're not, they're going to take some time before they get to know how the Métis Nation functions and operates. So, folks, those of you that were out there listening to this podcast, I'd really like to hear from you guys and see what your feelings are. And I know I'm not the only one that's disappointed. There's so many people how in the hell did she get back in there? Of course, I know, but there's something we have to understand, that whoever's got the harashi, the money, can get back in. And whoever's running the Métis Nation office will definitely. She had the membership in her lap. She knew every member in the area. Those of us that are in the countryside, we couldn't get some of that membership list. So, there's a lot of things that she has control of. She has control of the staff. She has control of 5 corporations out there, and they're all staffed by her. So, I'm pretty sure she had them thinking, hey, I better vote for this woman, go campaign for her if I want to keep my job. So that's the way I felt, and I felt bad. And I feel bad today that these people that work for us, supposed to be working for us, can only think of their paycheck and not what they're supposed to be doing. So, no, I'm really not surprised that she won. She put up a good fight, and of course she had all the chips on her side right at the beginning, because, like I said, when you got a corporation like that backing you up and you got control of it, you're not starting off fresh. You're starting off at the head of the line, and whoever is going to be running with you is going to better have a good run. So, folks, I hope that my comments to you guys will wake you up. I'm trying to wake up the Métis Nation and the people themselves, and let's do something. Let's make her accountable for her election, for the election, for her winning, because she did say that she was going to do this and that. Especially the housing. We want to see something. And I really think that we should be investigating those 2 housing corporations they got going. There's so much rumors about it. They haven't made a proper report in years. And I think it's time somebody came out of the woodwork and started doing some investigation. I understand there might be some people already doing that out there, and I hope you are. And if you are, please let me know, because I definitely want to know, and I definitely want to put it on my podcast. Again, I'd like to thank all those people that gave me some feedback on my podcast, and I really appreciate that. That gives me a little bit of help of what's going to happen in the future, and on what I'll be bringing up in the future. But right now, I do have a little cold, folks, and I've been fighting this flu here for a couple of days, for a week, I think. So I'd like to get back into good shape and bring back the show into a real formal kind of a show that I can keep up with what's going on throughout the country. Yes, I'd like to congratulate those people who won in the election, the new group. And I hope you guys will wake up and do your diligence, to represent your people, because that's been the problem. Zone 2 was dead. It had no locals. The other zones were dead. They had no locals. Zone 4, if you're listening out there, yes, you have to work on Zone 4, because there's so many Métis people that gave up on the Métis Nation, and they live right there in the city of Edmonton. So many people all over the province have given up on the Métis Nation. But unfortunately, the old lady, she got back in there. And so we have to do everything we can to try and make her be honest, to live up to those promises that she made during her campaign speeches and so forth. I've heard a few of them, and to me it sounded like the same old one I heard 20 years ago. So I think in saying that, I hope the members of the Métis Nation will wake up and get involved. That's the only thing I can say to you guys. Get involved with your local organization. Go and see your regional office and say, hey, we want to get involved. And I think that's the only way we can do this. And I'll be right back in a moment.
It's story time, folks, and if you've got a story, comment, or suggestion for the Joe Show, you can send those to joeblyon1@gmail.com. That's joeblyon1@gmail.com.
We're sitting in the bar, and my brother had lost his leg. And I think it was the right one that was, the left one. Yeah, how he lost his leg is he was coming around a curve, And those old cars had the door handles.
Yeah.
He was going too fast, so he leaned on the door, opened the fucking door, and his leg went out, trying to brace himself, but he pushed it right out. And he hit the guardrail, and the guardrail just severed his fucking leg right about here. And lost his leg right there. And so he had a wooden leg made for him, up to here, It was plastic up to about here. So it was written there, we're sitting in the bar, And I said, the guys were talking about being tough and all that. Fuck, none of you guys are tough, I said. My brother here is tough, I said. You fuckers are all a bunch of pussies at home, I pulled out a little pocket knife I had in my pocket. My brother here is so tough I could stab him in the goddamn leg, he wouldn't feel it, I said. Yeah. So I got the wrong leg. Oh, yeah. We had to take him to the hospital for a tetanus shot. He wouldn't get poisoning. It was just that he went in about an inch, Give it a little short blade, maybe about that long. Yeah. But I didn't put he said, that mean dirty prick. Take a tack him in my good leg. Oh, fuck, I laughed. I didn't laugh at the time, but when I think about it, how crazy it was, that's loving brothers.
Yeah.
Trying to, we didn't have to prove that we were tough. We were tough,
And this has been story time, folks. If you've got a story, comment, or suggestion for the Joe Show, you can send those off to joeblyon1@gmail.com. That's joeblyon1@gmail.com. Now back to your host, Joe Blyon.
All right, I'm back again. I had to take a quick little break. Like I told you at the beginning of the show, I do have a cough, and I had to suppress it before I can get on with the show. Besides, my wife was making a stew in the back over there, rattling the dishes, so I had to kind of take a little break as well, so it wouldn't catch on to the program. Anyway, folks, as I said before, I would like to hear from some of you people that have had some opportunities to work for the Métis Nation and dealing with those corporations and so forth, so we have a better idea, those of us that have been used in name to get these corporations. Remember, everything that the Métis Nation runs is our business because it was done on our behalf. So I don't know where my behalf is. I haven't seen anything in years. The Métis Urban Housing, which late Larry DeMille started years ago, has been going on for how many years? They made money, they bought houses, they did this and that, and I'm not sure where it's at. But I think you people out there, if you could just kind of remember, if you've been working for them, maybe you'd be willing to talk or willing to want to have a say on it, and I'd be happy to hear from you. In the meantime, back at the home base here, I am hoping that sometime in the near future that I'll be getting some calls from some of the people that want to have a say on the election. There's not much we can say about it, other than the fact that the election is over, and of course our old president's back in there. Like I said, the same old, and hopefully that we can do. You know what? In some ways, I am hoping maybe she will smell the coffee and wake up. But I doubt it. For 22 years, she wasn't able to expect for her to do something in the 4 years, I don't know. And she's got a new board as well, so she's probably pulling her hair right now, wondering what the hell did I get into. And I said to her at the beginning, maybe you should retire. Maybe she'll think about that as well. So, folks, in saying that, but I do want to encourage all the Métis people not to lose hope. I hope that we can continue on, because the Métis Nation is so important, and we need some action. We need to do something. The organization is dead as far as I'm concerned in helping our people out. We need some federal intervention, and we need the province to hear our pleas for a lot of things that we need in the communities. If you haven't had a chance, and the other thing too that I really, when we were traveling throughout throughout the province for that matter, talking to a lot of people, especially in the north, where she's never been able to even go. There was one woman that talked to me from Fort Chippewa, and he said, that woman's never been out here since she's been elected, she said. And I don't know if that's true or not, but why would that old lady lie to me? So I figured I'll take your word for that. And same thing in Fort Vermilion. People say, we don't even know who she is. He said, High Level was the same thing. All along the areas in many places where she's never even made an attempt to go. So I guess that's the problem. Maybe she'll be traveling a little bit now. Maybe she will want to know who the hell she's leading. If you don't know your subjects, what the heck are you doing leading anybody? Get away from that comfortness you provide for herself. That's the only thing she did in 22 years, took care of herself. And that's pretty obvious. If you've seen her house out there in Cold Lake, that's a pretty little nest, I'll tell you. So, folks, those of us that are looking for housing, why don't you just give her a call and say, hey, I need a house too. So maybe that will kind of wake her up that there is dire need of housing all over Alberta. And he did something to this, because I'm positive and I'm sure that both level of government would be more than willing to help us if we had some kind of a leadership dealing with it instead of them controlling it. So that's what's been happening with the housing anyway. They control it at the Métis office and nothing in the communities. I know I live in the community and I don't even dare ask for anything regarding housing. So, folks, I think in the next little while here, while on the podcast, I will be coming back to you on other things. But I just wanted to say about this election, I wanted to give an aftermath of it. A lot of us are disappointed, of course, but of course a lot of people are happy. They got the old lady back in there, their old friend. They're probably the workers and all the ones that she's helping out. So you guys are happy, but the rest of us are not happy. There are more people that are not happy and not participating at all. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to talk about that in the future. The aftermath itself don't look good. It looks like a tsunami went through it. It doesn't look all right to me. There's no clear direction right now. And I know her work, to me, they were pretty empty. They didn't have any meaningful thing to them, because I've heard her say that over a year for 22 years. And I've been around just as long as she has. So she can't bullshit me. I've been there and I've heard her. Matter of fact, I refused to play with the Métis, participate with the Métis Nation for many years because of that. And I hope now that now she'll never even let me get in the office now, criticizing her. But she needs criticism, and most of you guys should wake up and do that. Come on, what are we sitting back for? You guys are all happy with this, or are you just going to sit back and say, oh, Kiam, that old Indian adage, Kiam, that's no good. So I want to say to you guys, folks, don't say Kiam. Let's do something about it. There's a lot of strong Métis people in this province, and I hope you guys will wake up to that. In the meantime, folks, I want to thank you guys for listening to my podcast. If I hear any more about the aftermath and the aftermath of the tsunami of the Métis Nation election, that's what I call it. It was just disastrous, I was just hoping we would celebrate to put a new young leader in there, and a lot of young ones are in there now, but we got the same old engine up there, and she's just about puffing out these days. I don't even know why she even want to stay in there. So anyway, folks, tune in my next podcast, because I'll be talking about quite a few other things. As a matter of fact, I intend to talk about the Métis settlements in the near future, because there's a lot of us unhappy Métis people in the settlements that we need to say something. And I hope there's people out there be happy to hear that, because I've talked to many of my fellow membership Métis settlement members, and they would like to hear something. So in the meantime, folks, don't forget my podcast, Joe Blind Show. And I also want to remind you that my email is joeblind1@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me or send me something or want to have something to include in my podcast. And of course, the whole Facebook, that's just Joe Blind there. And in the near future, I'll be having a YouTube channel, and I'll be having a show there as well. I'm going to produce a show, and I want you guys to look at it and see what you think of it. And I hope that you guys will be able to tune in on that. Of course, the email, like I said, joeblind1@gmail.com. In the meantime, folks, you guys do whatever you can, and let's not give up just because we lost an election. I think it's important that everybody come alive and make sure that she does a job this time. No more bullshit. 22 years of bullshit is too long for me. And 22 years of nothing is too long for me. Everybody said that she did this and that. What the heck did she do? I don't know. She can 91-24. She can't take the credit for a lot of things that the national board did. She can't take credit for the housing or anything because there is none. So, folks, what the heck do we have to be thankful for? At least I can't see it. Maybe I'm blind, and that's my last name. But I think it's important to know that what did she produce in the last 22 years? So, folks, get back to me. Give me a call. Talk to me. I want to know what your views are. Even if you're mad at me, give me a call. I'd like to hear you anyway. Okay? So, folks, hang in there. This is the Joe Blind Show, and I'll be back in the next little while.
You've been listening to The Joe Show with your host, Joe Blind. If you have a comment, story, or a suggestion, you can send those off to joeblind1@gmail.com. That's joeblind1@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.